Thank you. Welcome to EIPIP meeting number 126. This is added on Ethereum/PM repository as issue number 2062. On agenda, we have a bunch of call for input, which are open for quite some time. We hopefully get some resolution and close all of them. We have a few items that are pulled from prior office hours and something that we have collected from the community. And those are added as policy discussion, editors discussion for today. Some updates, and we are also joined by a contributor who is here to share a demo of new EIP working group. So let's get started with the very first item. Those are all call for input. Sam, if you would want to maybe take it.
Can do. Yeah, so we have the allow links to Unicode technical standards. That one's in favor, like just needs to be implemented. We have the associate EIP editors, which I honestly think we need Matt to kind of take the charge on this one. I'm fine closing. Yeah, it's closing in favor. We just need to do something about it. Oh, there is a PR for this. Okay. So I'll take a look at that. We also have the status tag and citations. Yeah, I think that one looks like we can probably close it.
So just to get some clarification right over there, would we be going ahead with the PR which is already created, or do we want any final changes in that PR?
Like this is for the associate editor one or the
status and citation.
Yeah. Let's see.
Yeah, okay, so it seems that so we want to add like a citation or like a status tag in the citation of every EIP. I think, oh wait, sorry, it's already in there, I think. I'm just thinking that like all the EIPs, if they reference another EIP, I think it would make more sense if that EIP we are referencing to is not in a final or in living state, that people should actually link to that EIP as a permalink, because especially with draft EIPs, some of the concepts, so there's like a general idea, but this general idea tends to change. Like to give an example, we have EIP 2780, which says something like reduce something, but in the end, it will actually most likely increase specific costs. So in that sense, if then an EIP citates or refers to this EIP, which is in draft state, then in that case, it will make more sense to actually reference the actual permalink or the actual status of that EIP, because if that EIP then updates, then if you would link to it and then read it, then you will get confused because the context, what it should actually link to, is not there.
That makes a lot of sense. I don't know how technically possible that is, because we don't render every commit as a rendered EIP. You'd have to link to the GitHub page for it. But that's a really good point. Do you think we can solve that separately from this issue?
Yeah, I was about to bring it up because this looks like a related but a different proposal. So, right. Yeah, I'm not really sure about this, because if we link to, yeah, okay, what we should maybe indeed do, we should especially link to it when an EIP is in draft status. But then the question is, okay, but what if an EIP changes from draft to final? Yeah, I'm not really sure here what we should do. because it makes sense to link like the status of the EIP, which it is when you update an EIP. But yeah, as you mentioned, like this would also need support on the site, on the EIP's site itself, because indeed we currently only render the current version of the EIP and not the whatever version you request. So yeah.
I think the problem statement that this PR is trying to solve here is to display the correct status, display the status which is the status of the EIP, because as of now, the eips.ethereum.org shows a draft for all statuses. So that is the problem statement this PR is particularly trying to address. And the question that we are trying to solve with the help of call for input is like whether we should go it for all EIPs or should we keep it only for EIPs which are neither living nor final. So I believe whatever Joachim has suggested is something different than this problem statement, and yeah, that can be handled separately.
Agreed. Yeah. I do think it's a good point, though. Like, we should definitely do that.
So coming back to this problem statement, is it okay for now to just fix whatever is like clearly visible that the status is not citation status is not matching with the proposal status, and merge this PR, and then we'll work on a separate PR to pick up that issue.
Yeah, okay, so just to check, because let me actually link that comment from Sam, because then it is clear. But oh wait, I should just share my screen, because then it could see. Okay, you should see my screen.
Yep.
Okay, so this is Sam's comment. So what we'll do is we have like this citation, which has this draft, and now we would link to this. Now my only question is this dynamic or is this then static? So would this link to the current status of the EIP, or would it link to the status which it is when we change or update an EIP?
It will link, like, the text that would be rendered here is the status of the EIP when it was rendered.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
All right. So are we fine merging this PR as it is?
Yes, I think so. So this is slightly different. Instead of it being like a status colon, like living or whatever, this just takes the page status and puts it in square brackets, but I'm fine with that. Like, it's not a big deal.
All right. So yeah, we can keep that as a decision and merge the PR and close this call for input. Moving ahead, we have issue number 406.
So I'm just closing this here. Okay. So 406 is... Oh, whether things should go to living or final, right?
So yeah, I mean, here also we were discussing about the status. I'm sure we need a decision here. This is my proposal, so I cannot argue much. I will depend upon editor's decision. But my only point here was like any living EIP can be edited by editor at any point of time. It does not require that editor should be as part of author. But I'm always open to add editors as authors.
Yes, I think because so your latest comment on this call for input, Pooja, is I think well, it states the exact problem with living proposals. So I think that indeed it's also what Andrew suggests that the most sustainable model is actually to not create any new living EIPs, and I think that's correct. Like, what you would also want, even with informational EIPs, that at some point, and people like at the process itself will likely disagree with you because they say, okay, yeah, but it's like very bureaucratic, and now I have to create a new EIP for each time that we upgrade this. Yes, exactly. Because, for instance, if you have like an informational EIP like a note requirements, then what you would want to see in the future is, in the future, you would want to look into the past, like to get the context of, for instance, that fork. So the node requirements, that's also something what we would want to move to a final state. And then when the fork is then done, when we move this fork to final, then we also want to have like the node requirements of that fork also to be finalized, because then we can see, okay, this was then the context or the state of whatever the fork was based on. So I would say the informational EIP's end status, it would be final, there's not living. Because like for now you could update it for like the next year, for the next 5 years, for the next 10 years, but at some point then others have to take it over, or maybe like the original ideas that not be the same. So I would say everything should move to final and not to living. Except I would say anything what has to do with like EIP informational data, so like the EIP handbook and EIP 1.
Yeah, I'm perfectly all right with moving this proposal to final status. But honestly speaking, I'm not very much convinced with the idea of putting unnecessary load on EIP editors, because there are certain proposals that does not require end-to-end change, that just require one particular section. And talking about this specific EIP, it talks about upgrade nomenclature. So we will have only 2 upgrades if we can have in a year. Then this EIP might require 2 updates a year. And as I mentioned, it is not dependent on author. Anybody can do it when it moves to living. But
so it's not necessarily a load thing, right? It's also a authority thing. Like, I don't want, like, let's say 2 people make differently named forks. I don't want EIP editors to have to choose which one is the authentic name for the fork. And we would have to do that if it's a living EIP.
I think this decision will be taken by ACD call, because they would definitely add it in all clients. But
for sure. But there's no, like, that would mean somebody from the ACD call, we would have to pick the person to trust to represent the ACD call. So it's just easier if we just accept all of them, and then ACD can pick which EIP number is the correct one.
All right. We can perhaps add the decision to move it towards file and close this proposal. Anyway, this EIP is in draft status. It has to further go on different statuses. So yeah, we will keep it moving towards final status. The last one we have is issue number 408.
Okay. There we go, 408. So, these are new external resources. So this is the OWASP, CTPA, and CAI. So these are standards and documents published about web security, generally speaking. Let's see, we don't have any comments on these, so I don't think I can close this. So if everybody could just take a look at 408, weigh the pros and cons of allowing these external resources, and leave a comment, I would very much appreciate it.
Yes, I will do that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, sorry about not commenting on this one.
All right, with that, we can move forward, and we have a bunch of policy discussion items here. The first, I think 1, 2, 3, 4 are suggested by Joachim. So Joachim, if you would like to maybe talk about each one of them.
Yes, let's first check what this was again.
So it's inclusion of pre-final CAIPs in the EIP. This item was picked up from office hour.
Yes. Oh yeah, right. I remember this. So this is CAIP 19, and this is right. Okay, so we have our policy that within EIPs, you can only move an EIP to final if all the dependencies are also final. And the question here is that CAIP 19. This is, as far as I understand, especially for ERCs, like a specification which is very much used. It's created in 2020, but it is still in review. So the question is that the point is that ERCs cannot move to final. Well, it also depends on this CAIP. Yeah, and I am not really sure what we will do here, because what we would basically assume is that this CAIP, which is in review state, we would assume that it is final. But I guess that's not the way how we should do these things. But yeah, so not sure how we would move this to final.
I'd prefer to wait for it to go to final for the CAIP. As long as we link with a git commit hash, I don't think it's a strict requirement, but waiting for final, I think, makes the most sense.
Yeah, okay, I agree. Do we have like a rule that, like how does what's the rule if we depend on, like if we have an EIP which will depend on an ERC? I do not know why that would be, but let's assume that. Can we move an EIP to final if it depends on an ERC which is not final?
I believe that rule has been disabled since we split the repositories in two.
Okay. So this the dependency of the CAIP would not block in ERC or an EIP. Okay, that's great. Okay, yeah, that's fine.
I have a small confusion here. Sam, as per my understanding, the bot still will stop if the status of EIP or ERC.
Yeah, I thought that rule was turned off. If it's not, then awesome.
Yeah, I think it is still there, but the only concern with the CAIP is that there is no set rule for CAIPs added there. So the recommendation that was provided to the author was like use the commit history as you suggested, as described in EIP 1. But we don't have any way to check it if CAIP is in the final status because we are not checking that with bot.
Yep, exactly. I mean, we could add a check for that, but
I think that would be a big blocker here, because the problem statement that was defined to us in that meeting was like CAIP is not something that can be persuaded, because they do not have any particular body that they can reach out to and move it to the final status in case the person who is using that CAIP is not one of these authors. And as we can see in this particular case, the proposal is in review status for past 6 months. They have no way to realize how long will it take, and if we make that as a hard rule, then we will have hard time getting proposals that wants to become Ethereum standards.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right, then in that case, we'll stick to commit history and move forward with that. And yeah, we hope that they work in the background and try to move it to the final status. All right, Joachim, back to you. I believe there was another Solidity usage of Solidity text and terms in ERC was the problem statement.
Yes, so this was basically a point which came up while I was reviewing mainly ERCs. So currently, and this also, by the way, also is the case for EIPs. The thing is that some ERCs, they use like Solidity concepts. And with this, I mean, for instance, marking a method as view. So if you have a view method, then you cannot do any storage rights to this. This is of course like now fine, but this assumes that in the future, like if we would make like an ERC final, we would also assume that in the future this view concept or this solidity concept, or even that solidity is like still the standard. And the question is, do we want this, or like what's the idea? Like this could sound like extreme nitpicking, but I could imagine that if there is like a new language in the future which is not solidity and which either introduces like the same concepts but in a different name, that reading these kind of ERCs, which are then final, are then very confusing because you have these concepts which you would not know what they are.
Yeah, it's essentially like making an external link to the solidity specification, and yeah. I mean, like, rules as written, I don't think we should be allowing them, but I think just based on historical convention, we do. Do you have a strong preference either way?
I think it's like I'm flagging this like as a possible problem. But I think what we should do, like as a, I don't think it will not make sense to start blocking like solidity entries now, because as you say, like that's also the impression which I had, is that we allow solidity concepts because it is like the current standard. What I do want to suggest is that we would start to do that now, that we would only allow coded blocks of solidity where it is clear what solidity version is used, and with that I mean the major version, so like the first number of solidity, because then it is clear, like, okay, you are referencing to like solidity 8 or 9 or whatever, and that in the future you can also look back in the past, like, okay, it was this solidity version, and then this definition was then so that we include the version of solidity. That's basically the thing. So like this pragma version solidity.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So if somebody's using solidity or terms from solidity, we ask them to include the version number somewhere?
Exactly, yes.
Yep. I think that's very reasonable.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry to interrupt here. I have one more follow-up question here. If we are asking them to write the version number, are we also expecting them to add the link of that version somehow?
I was thinking in this case, this would happen in solidity code blocks, and if you add this pragma solidity version comment, this is also valid solidity code. So I would not say let's link to this, but let's include this version.
And this may be valid for ERC, just in case of EIPs, if someone wants to write down something. Are we trying to provide some general information that we should be using any language, but we provide that what version they are using, or we recommend people using pseudocodes in general to be not specific to any language? Like, we can perhaps add that in contributing.md as a guideline for future and try to encourage community to follow that. What people think here?
Yep, I think that's. I mean, I'm making a pull request for that right now.
Cool.
Okay, so I move to the next point.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. So this was So this is about using AI. I am currently not using AI, but I got a lot of comments from people like, okay, you should really start using AI for like some very simple tasks, and that is like, for instance, if there are abbreviations in an EIP or in an ERC, they should be defined before you do the abbreviation, without, of course, like very specific Ethereum related examples. Like, we are not going to force people to define what an EVM is, for instance. But my main question, what I wanted to ask here is, because as an EIP Alpha, we want to be neutral, and we also want to ensure that there is no question that we are not neutral. And this will then maybe be more part of like the EIP office hours, which are live and also recorded. Like, do you have any problems using AI there? And with that, I mean, of course, you're not going to prompt an AI like, okay, what do you think of this EIP? No, we will just use AI for like very specific tooling, like, okay, these abbreviations, for instance.
So I take, I think, a fairly cautious approach to AI. I'm not against using it, and I think if editors find it to be a useful tool, absolutely go for it. But the ultimate responsibility rests with the editor. So it's not like you can just point at Claude and be like, you know, the AI made a mistake. No, you made a mistake using the AI. But you're right. I think it is difficult to maintain like an element of neutrality when using AI. Yeah, so I think it's just be careful. Use it if it's useful, and be careful with it.
Yeah. Okay. This makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I also completely agree with you. It's not that AI takes over, or it's but blah 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 made a mistake. No. Of course, it is in the end the responsibility of the editor, and not like if any kind of tooling makes a mistake, then still it is you, the editor, which is actually proposing changes or leaving like feedback. That should be coming from the editor and not it's not like the AI's mistake that is also.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Okay, that's good. Yeah, okay.
I still believe that the suggestion of Joachim of having the abbreviation be explained in the proposal will be useful. So maybe for very common abbreviation, or I mean, AI will provide a full form of anything that is available on the internet. But for general people, it will be not possible all the time to go through that. So having as much as documentation of abbreviation in the proposal will be a right idea. So I'm still with Joachim on that to add it.
Yeah, I was using this like as an example of some rule enforcement, what you could easily do, or maybe not easily do, but easily check using AI. So it would flag, okay, you have these abbreviations, these are not defined, so define them. But I'm actually not sure, like we could also enforce this kind of rule into the EIP or ERC ruling. The question then is, because I would find it, I can understand that we also want to define all abbreviations, but I mean, okay, it's okay. Like for instance, the EVM, like defining this as like forcing people to define this as an abbreviation seems slightly over the top. But on the other hand, like in 50 years, if the EVM is not a concept anymore, then it would make sense. Yeah, okay. I'm not really sure about this one. Maybe someone else has some ideas.
I have a list somewhere. I don't know where it went. That's like my glossary of terms that I don't require people to define, and I keep intending to publish it somewhere because I feel like that would be a useful thing. Where is it? I don't know. I'll go find it. It's probably on my HackMD. And I will publish it, and then we can talk about it and maybe put it into an informational EIP.
Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Yeah, glossary is also the exact right word for this. Yeah, and a glossary of abbreviations. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, nice.
I just have to find it, which is always fun.
Very well. The last item here is making office hour more effective.
Yes. So I think I have now done maybe 4 or 5 office hours so far. And the last one, I was not very happy about it myself, because what happened is I basically only read like one ERC. It was like a very big one. In the past, I used to say, okay, this is like a very big EIP. I will do this after the call, but that's also not fair, because then I would only do like short EIPs or ERCs in the office hour. So the main question is, okay, how would I actually make these office hours more effective? I think the basic answer is okay. You have like an agenda, just the editor itself, so that would be me, should then come prepared so that you can actually do a sync discussion on these things. But yeah, Sam maybe have some general tips for this.
I agree. I don't find office hours particularly useful. Like I always hope office hours will be people coming on and asking questions like, oh, how do I do this? Or, is this the right way to reference something? That's what I hope office hours is, but it's really just people coming on trying to get a back door to get their proposal reviewed faster. And like, it doesn't feel useful and I have no idea what to do with it.
Right. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Pooja?
No, I would like to make 2 comments here. Number one, Joachim, I'm looking at the leaderboard, so you are at number 1, leading leaderboard of editors. That means you have reviewed quite a decent number of EIP/ERCs. And second thing, Sam, I feel like having a place where people can come and share their problem is important.
Oh, absolutely.
That is the reason we want to continue this office hour, because now the word has spread. People know that if some PR is not being looked for very long time, because we have like 400 plus PRs in EIP repository only, they know where to put it, so editors can have a quick look. So I would be in favor of continuing it.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about the office hour workflows. I haven't been in one, but I get the gist. And I'm wondering, what would it be like if, I know there's always an issue and people may ask certain questions on there. What if a part of the workflow for someone attending office hours was they have to post some of the questions or their talking points in advance so that they're at least biased towards, coming with an intention that you think is what it should be for, so that if you have a certain scope that you wish people are doing, that it's required or strongly suggested. Maybe you get to, get in the front of the line first if you come prepared, and you say what you want to do first, say what you want to talk about, and maybe people conform to, what you think office hours should be for. What would that look like? Why don't we do that?
I mean, I'd be okay with that, but I think that puts more work on Pooja. I don't know how you feel about that.
I'm totally fine to enforce this idea. I believe right now office hour is being considered as a platform where if someone comes and add a comment, an editor will take a look at it. We would encourage people to add the problem statement. Why do you want to be in this office hour?
I think something like that might even be something where AI might be useful. Just parsing stuff. It's not going to say, don't let that be the final gatekeeper and arbiter, but it can definitely be a convenience. Well, okay, Pooja, I think, this person here seems a little bit off. Maybe you want to, suggest that they do something a little bit different, or they come with a different focus. So I think the burden doesn't have to be on you entirely, and you don't have to, be that strict. People want to show up. You want to gather some enthusiasm. Okay, maybe it's a little off topic. But the process doesn't have to be burdensome, but maybe it could be shifted, more structured to fit the scope better. And maybe AI can help, maybe not, but just some of my thoughts for the process that I wanted to share.
Appreciate the feedback. We'll try to encourage community to come up with a real problem statement, not just for getting the attention of review.
Cool.
Yeah, interesting, because this also uncovers, it's always fun if you find that you have unconsciously made some kind of assumption. So Sam's definition of the office hour is a different one what I have been following, but this is also because how I perceive people indeed using this office hour, and indeed it is currently, I think, perceived as indeed the fast track to get your ERP or ERC reviewed, which I'm not. Yeah, I don't think that's the correct thing, because we should still. And I also find myself not doing this in some cases, because we should review, of course, from the oldest first to the newest. I actually did clear like a backlog of EIPs this week, I think. So that's nice, but not ERCs, because we also have to do that. But yeah, I'm really like because indeed what Sam says, like the office hours should indeed be like a feedback point, and not like the fast track to get an EIP or ERC reviewed. But yeah, I also would not know like how to do it, but I also like Rito's suggestions. So thanks for that.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. I think that's all items on policy discussion that were added by Joachim. So maybe we can move on to the next one. The next section is about dispute resolution. So we have been receiving some grievances from the community with respect to some issues or challenges they are facing during the course of EIP process, like either EIP is being documented or EIP is being transferred, moved from one status to another status, or the discussion forum. I have added 2 or 3 examples here. So the first one is about authorship dispute. I understand that editors role have been defined in EIP 5069 that kinds of says that editors are not the person or the group of people who would be making all decisions, but because the community has so much respect and faith in this the job that editors are doing, I brought it to this meeting to maybe we can figure out some solution, some guidelines we can share with the community how they can solve these issues and where they can go to try seek some help. So the first one is about authorship. I think there are some back and forth responses on that issue, and I had a chat with the author, and the author said that he is not in a mood to close this issue because he is still hopeful that one day he will be included in the list. So that's one example. I don't have the author present here, but I wonder if anyone has any further suggestion on this issue, or yeah, what do we do with it, or how we can help?
Oh, that's a big one.
Just to chime in on this one, like I am not going to look into the context of this one because apparently this is a very big item, but I think the simple way to say it is the rules what we have is okay. If you start an EIP and you're an author, you are also the person who has to approve all the edits to your EIP. That includes new authors, and I think we should not set a precedent where we change this because of the community is saying that this should be an author or whatever. I think we should not set this as a precedent because this opens this would open like an historic change, and then people can say, yeah, but you did this in the past and this is now exactly the same, so we should also add people as an author, or we should change things or whatever. So yeah,
that's pretty much my view as well.
Yeah, but I think this is just the beginning of the these kind of issues, and I think I have a proposal later in the agenda which I will bring up, which if editors agrees we can perhaps share as a guideline. But I see the second item here in this section of dispute resolution, feedback and comments for consideration. We are joined by EVVM org team member. He had reached out with some specific issues. I think the idea here is he's trying to add some feedback for a particular proposal. He finds that it may need some kind of changes. I will pass it on to you, evvm.org, to maybe explain this, the problem statement and what you are looking for.
Hello, thank you for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Sam, for replying here in the chat. And the question is regarding there is the post. I don't know if you want me to share the screen or you can check it what I just posted on on the chat about my reply, the 28642. Should I share my screen or can you open it?
I can't like. There's a reply to this post because I can't see it.
No, it's the post itself
Okay.
that I just made because I replied on May 6th after the EAP 8250 was posted. I replied with exactly this information regarding what can be improved and how EVVM can help on the shape, architecture, and feedback on this proposal because the key announces are something that we have kindly implemented since 3 years in many of the core components they want to reach on Ethereum. So we give a strong feedback. But the thing is that this proposal passed to merge the merge request without addressing our reply. So we asked the author on Twitter about it, and the consequence was that our post on Ethereum Musicians was deleted, not replied because wasn't addressed. So here the issue is two things. First is why the our reply wasn't addressed and the EAP passed directly to merge. Second, why was deleted? But at the end of the day, the moderator recommended us to post a separated post that it's something I just made, and now we have to reply again. But how should what did we do wrong, or how can we reply again to avoid another flag and deletion of our proposal? And maybe there is nothing else to do here also because I don't know if the proposal is already merged. But we made the comments and trying to add value on time. So it's a lot of things, I think.
Okay. So, first, unless your comment was like rude or whatever, and I don't think it probably was. It shouldn't have been deleted. I don't think. We can talk to the mods and see what happened there. But yeah. As for whether or not, so the authors of a proposal don't have to apply your suggestions. I mean, they don't even have to answer you if they don't really want to. But we do try to encourage that. You know, collaboration is better than competition. But that said, if you wanted to make your own proposal, just like copy paste theirs with whatever changes you think it needs to be made, you can do that, and then you can take that proposal and advocate for it on all core devs. The EIP process, we don't decide which proposals are going to be the correct ones or whichever ones get implemented. We just record the documents. So if the authors of the proposal aren't receptive to your suggestions, yeah, just make a copy of it, make the changes you need, and then convince the core developers that that is the direction that they should go.
Okay, that's a very clear and helpful reply. Of course, it's nothing. It's not what I would like to hear because I personally think that the decentralization and the also not non-censorship and the collaboration was happening in these spaces that we have. Uh, and really, from my perspective, I'm not attached to the Ethereum Foundation or the core devs, or I'm not friend of them personally. I'm not enemy either. Uh, uh, but well, how can I collaborate then? Because I see that we can do something for Ethereum from my trenches, but at the end of the day, they are deciding which EAPs go through or not. And I thought that maybe Ethereum Musicians Forum was the place that we can have that kind of conversations, the interface, you know.
It's
So
supposed to be.
It's supposed to be okay, yes. So
Yeah.
maybe it's not working always because I see that there is very rich conversations there, and many APs are getting shaped there since months. So there's a lot of collaboration. Well, so this is just a bad experience for me at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, and I'm sorry about that. Yeah,
It's
I mean, I
fine.
guess,
It's fine.
yeah, I do think, do submit at least a pull request with your suggestions. I think it's probably worth mentioning on all core devs. But yeah, I'm sorry that it was rough for you. It's we try to be as collaborative as possible, and I guess we kind of dropped the ball here.
Okay. Thank you, Sam, for your words and the information. I understand that what is wrong, I guess, is that my comment was deleted because
Yeah.
I wasn't rude at all. There is my message. There is everything that I posted, but okay, I understand.
Yeah, maybe to also to just say, like, indeed the magicians, like the entire process is supposed to be like super open. The magicians is the place to have these discussions. So the fact that this reply was removed for whatever reason is just not correct. And maybe as yeah, but just mentioning that deleting this does not make sense, because now you have to open this new thread, and this of course is not the place where you want this discussion to be. You want this discussion to be on the actual EIP discussion, also for the visibility of this reply, of course. But Sam, maybe as another comment, because I also got a question like last week or so. There was someone opening a thread on magicians because this is a requirement for the EIP, so there should be a discussion place. But this person could not do that because this person either had not enough karma or whatever, but he could not open a new thread, which is also like blocking and gatekeeping. So I don't know what the policy is there, but I think this should also be allowed by default, because otherwise people cannot submit EIPs because they cannot create threads on Magician.
Yeah, so I think Discourse, as part of their anti-spam feature, requires you to spend a few minutes reading other posts before you're allowed to open a thread. So you just have to like read a few discussion threads, and then you'll be able to post.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be nice if a bot would just open the discussion thread and we don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's maybe even like a good idea. I actually don't know who manages magicians and who are the moderators of this, or like the admins.
Neither do I.
Fortunately, I am one of those. So if such concerns comes up, I'm happy to help, and I try to like help new authors who are trying to have their discussion link created. So please feel free to send it to me.
Okay. Can you see what happened to the comment?
Actually, yes. To this comment, it was flagged as a spam by one of the authors, and because it was flagged by the authors, the bot has to flag it as spam, and it was to be deleted.
Yeah. Was it spam?
If the I can't see the comment anymore,
Okay.
but because the author has reposted the entire text in a separate thread, it doesn't look like to me. But I believe your suggestion of making a pull request right over there makes a lot of sense. Like that's a suggestion to EVVM team, that if you strongly feel that the proposal changes you are suggesting are meaningful, you can make a PR to update that EIP. And if author does not accept it, you are free to create another proposal and share it in all core dev meeting, and let the core dev team take the call which EIP they want to take it in the future upgrade. All right. With that, we can move on to the next one. I had a couple of points, But I see we have only 10 minutes left, and we are also joined by Rito. Rito, if you would want, maybe. Okay, give me 2 more minutes to finish up this one so editors can maybe take a look at it async and provide feedback. So in the same section of dispute resolution, there is another comment by me itself. Like I had opened a PR for an important EIP 7723. It was created back in January, but that is still open. This PR is actually making very significant change because we understand EIP status and network upgrade stages are two different terms and they should not be confused with each other. But I see the proposal is still open. So these are just 2-3 examples that were picked in order to bring this to editors that there are some concerns which are getting into the community, and we should try to provide them some kind of solution, maybe some guidelines that we can publicly share. In the next link, a proposal to document dispute resolution guideline. I want to here propose if possible as an EIP. If not, maybe we can have some .md file somewhere kept in the EIP GitHub repository to share it with the community, and that can keep on building like what are the problems that we are receiving and what are the suggested guidelines from editors. Whatever we are discussing in these meetings may not be there for people to refer because that will be buried under the number of lot of meetings that we go over, but having them documented somewhere at one place where people can go and find these kind of problems and suggested solution would be a nice thing to do. So yeah, I would request editors to maybe take a look at the proposal, and if you have any feedback, comment, we can perhaps discuss it in Discord, or feel free to add it in the HackMD itself. Or if anyone wants to maybe give a quick comment, we can take that. Otherwise, we can invite Rito. All right, so maybe we'll take it async. Rito, please feel free to share your screen. I believe you have something to share with respect to EIP working group that you had already given us some context in earlier meeting. Want to show how it looks like.
Yeah. So is there a hard cutoff time at exactly the end of the hour, or?
No, we can go a little over time if editors are around.
Okay. Okay, so for those who don't know me, my name is Rito. I'm a cross-functional CPO, UX leader, and full-stack engineer. My brand is Rito Vision, and I work across various OSS ecosystems, primarily focused on developer experience. And for the past couple months, I have been dedicating my focus towards getting the EIP working group into a launch-ready state. Though I'm not the final arbiter of that, but from what I see, the issues that have been raised, some of the bugs, some of the opportunities I see for improving the project to be the successor for the current EIP system. So I'm going to go over not a finalized set of features or a system right now. I finished a significant amount of reviewable work, but it's still in the review pipeline, so consider this pending a long review process, because there's still a lot to go over. So if anyone's not familiar, the EIP working group is intended to be a successor system to the current EIP infrastructure, not the EIP process, more of the tooling behind it. This is Sam Wilson's project. It's been going on for about a decade. Originally built as a CI tool, I've taken the initiative to try and expand it into a developer-facing tool where average contributors can use it for coordinating local builds, because there's a lot of repos. That's a lot to manage, and running linting for proposals locally instead of having to do it just through pull requests, as some examples. So here's a few of the things that I'm going to touch through quickly. Okay, so last month I introduced the idea of the multi-repo local build system in version 1. It was my first time attending this meeting, my first time interacting with Sam and bombarding him with 3 massive PRs for a very large system. which he very kindly offered to review the very next day, which he did. So he came back with some feedback on the direction, the vision, and the implementation, and the architecture. A few weeks later, maybe closer to a month later actually, I came up with a V2 system. The link is in the issue for this meeting. You can check it out. There's a coordinating issue that has all of the tracked PRs, 23 of them across 4 repos. So far, the first PR has been merged, second one under review, and a lot more to go. So, hats off to Sam, because he's grinding out here, doing balancing a lot of stuff, and this is a lot to go through as well, but this is a very important project. So some of the substantial rewrite, though we're not going to get into everything that it does, the gist that we need to know and understand is there's a lot of repos, and it's not easy for a developer or a contributor, a future editor, what have you, to manage the process locally. So because of this fragmented process, I'm trying to have this tool become the means with which anybody can come on board and get set up. They don't have to manage multiple repos. They don't need to have to manage many flags, a complicated CLI process. It should be pretty straightforward. And a part of Sam's feedback was shrinking the user command surface, which I'm going to show in the next slide quickly. The iteration also has a separation of concerns, which the build EIPs is a Rust native tool. It's probably several times the size that it was, but it is pretty well separated for the new layers that have been added. We want easier user onboarding for the different binaries coming on board. We don't want to have people needing to scrounge around for different dependencies and being stuck in dependency hell, because that is hell that we don't want. And the latest version also has a way to reduce build times. For me, I have a slower laptop. Maybe other people have a faster one. For me, it takes 10 minutes to run the full EIP build process. The system allows you to select certain EIPs for a demo. So for me, I can get this up and running in a few seconds, though it's not the full thing. But that makes a tremendous difference for a developer experience. So here is a preview, again, not set in stone yet, but here's an idea of what it may look like to interact with this system. For getting it started, the very first command that people will get familiar with, the very first thing that you run, how do we get all these repositories, cloned? How do we get everything, operational without needing to really learn a system deeply? Build EIPs init. That's all you need to know. Sets up the workspace, clones sibling repos, has the binaries in the shell for this pass. So from that command alone, in that one shot, you should be able to run the remainder of the commands, yes, across multiple repositories. The build command is going to build from EIPs and ERCs, the theme repo. So you get the full static site that you can render locally if you want to edit it or what have you. Preview is the way that you're going to actually serve the build site. A serve command is separate but similar to build and preview. Serve is a Zola native. I probably should have said that the preprocessor is based on Zola for serving the site, starting the static site. This serve command is part of the developer server, where you can experience live incremental rebuilds very fast. So you make a little change, it should update immediately, but you're not going to use that for full builds. It doesn't survive, to my knowledge, these incremental changes. The build goes away once you turn the server off. Well, it's very good for testing changes. Now, the feature I love is being able to choose certain proposals to reduce the build time. For build and serve, you can add a flag or use a config file, which we won't cover today, add the flag only, as you can see, and the proposal numbers. And the build process will only build out, the theme site with those proposals added, which can dramatically reduce the build time. It's been a very useful tool for me working on other issues. I've worked on other things outside of this particular build system, building on top of it, and this has been a very instrumental tool for making it very quick to being able to test out other features. And last but not least, this may become a very familiar tool. Build EIPs, editorial lint, and the lint number, or the EIP number that you want to run. And that will check if you are going to pass. See if it's going to break down or what have you before you make a pull request. So these are, some of the ideas. I guess it's, kind of a prototype, but it's concise, condensed, and I'm pretty happy with it. Okay, so diving into the next thing away from the build system, though I kind of use this on top of the build system because that made it easier to test. I made some adjustments to actually, I didn't even go through the agenda. I showed you guys the agenda. Okay, so a few things I'm going to cover because I'm going to turn the slides off, so I'm just going to tell you very quickly what's going to cover next because I'm going to show the demo site that I have. So I also worked on revamping the navigation UI for desktop and mobile. Should still be very familiar. Replacing the search mechanism that the working group has with a full text search system based on page find. That also has a feature for supporting semantic search, because that is a limitation with doing a static site build without having a backend. So having a alternative means of supporting semantic search I thought was very important, because I think research is tantamount to being able to navigate EIPs. And a very long sought after feature for having a hard fork metadata page that tracks all the hard forks and the respective EIPs, as well as having metadata on the EIP pages for the hard forks that they correspond to, or some wording like that. Yes, tongue twisters in my mind, but we're going to cover this quickly. So let's go. Okay, I'm going to share my other screen so I can show you what I have. So I'm going to stop sharing this. And is this the proper thing? Let's find out. Okay. Okay. Yes, it looks very familiar. It looks like the EIP site, because that's what it is. No drastic changes here. But the first thing, whoa. So what this is sticky. Yes, this is sticky. The navigation is fixed. So, or fixed as in literally fixed to the screen, sticky. So one of the guiding principles I had when looking at, how can we improve the theme without changing it just for the sake of changing it, because it's been here for a long time. It's worked for a long time. Not perfectly, but it's worked. This is a site that you browse. You browse and you peruse. So I believe that efficiency is a guiding principle. How can we make the navigation serve the process of browsing and perusing as efficiently as possible without getting in the way, without being too fancy, and being straight-edged with it? So one of the first things, okay, let's make it easy on desktop to go to the different categories, go to the different everything here. Now, one of the demanded features in the working group was to have popovers. So now when it doesn't have too much. Sorry, the stupid Zoom toolbar is getting in the way of me pressing different. Okay, that's better. That's better. Okay. Well,
I think you're getting them on the list page, yeah.
Yeah, you get
Oh,
the
that's
point.
beautiful.
I wanted to show
Yeah.
it on the EIP, so it shows a little bit of the metadata right there. And this was not as easy as you think. This was not client-side. There's a whole added step to the build process, a very important step for generating additional metadata that can be used for multiple features, including popovers, but also supporting search and a few other things. But yeah, that's one of the cool things. And let's see, what else? Okay, so we got sticky header for desktop here. Okay, da-da-da-da. All right, so before I get into mobile, so one of the features that I think is going to enhance navigation, make it a lot more smooth. So every page has a table of contents, all the EIPs. Is there a table of contents icon? Not that I'm aware of, so an open book. I chose an open book, and I wanted to streamline navigating the table of contents. So when you are on a table of contents page, there will be an icon for navigating table of contents. So each page gets populated with the table of contents in a menu for that particular page. If you go to a page that does not have a table of contents, oh, it's gone. It's not going to bother you, but when it's there, it does what it needs to. Or you go to a different page, okay, populates different, okay, and jumps around. Try to make things convenient right there. So that's a new thing that I thought would be very useful. And now, let's get into the mobile world. Okay, so again, this is desktop mobile, but it's still mobile nonetheless. So here we are. Where are we? What are we doing? Okay, so look at the bottom of the page. We have a bottom bar, my favorite thing to have. So the bottom bar basically replaces having top navigation because there was the little hamburger menu which had a white block that had very illegible text. It's been there for a while. The text was kind of off-centered. It wasn't it wasn't working. It wasn't working. And in the service of making navigation seamless, I wanted to try and make mobile as efficient as possible. And I didn't want to get in the way of, this beautiful word mark. Have that right there. Leave it alone. Let it be. So the bottom bar has 4 different buttons for context. When you're on the top of the page, there's 3, but once you go down, okay, let's do quick stuff, especially because when you get into, I'm going to go to the menu here, got a little nice menu. When you get into these big pages over here, when you're navigating and scrolling, you don't want to scroll back to the top. And that is a lot to do, okay. And quick search. Quick search was added by another developer who contributed the initial Fuse system for search, which we'll get into in a second. Sort of preserve that, but having it a little bit different button, but I kept his modal idea here. Okay. Yeah, so this is what it looks like for a proposed, revamped navigation system. It's not that different, but it's different enough where hopefully it enhances smoothness. And yes, I put the home page in here because, for a long time, I kept forgetting what the home page was. I was like, hey, wait a second. How do I get back home? Where's the home page? Do I press all? And then I was just very confused. So I wanted to add it back for my confusion, which I'm sure other people may also share. Okay. Next feature to introduce, search mechanism. So originally the working group was using Fuse.js, sort of a fuzzy search client side, and it was parsing through Atom, which is not optimized for search, and it was also doing a lot of heavy lifting client side, and there was a request to explore different search tools. But a key constraint was that there's going to be no backend service. At least to my knowledge, that was a key constraint. This is a static site, so that immediately reduces the prospect of having a full-blooded semantic search or vector search, because that's not something that can be, casually done client-side in a browser. It's intense. It's an intense thing to do. So in focusing on full-text search, I landed on integrating page find, which is a very popular among documentation sites. It's well maintained to my knowledge, and it's Rust native. So it fits in with the preprocessor without introducing a new language to the toolchain. So now we can do full text search with keywords, and we can filter things down, similar to EIP Insights. So I'm just going to look up Ethereum because, why not? This is Ethereum. Here we go. Oh, we got a lot. Yes, we do. Oh my God, we have so much stuff here. I'm not going to parse through all that. Proposal category, statuses, authors, etc. Okay, everybody's seen search before. I don't need to get into too much of the minutia. Yes, searching by year, when, etc. Okay, so what I like about this that helps.
Sorry to interrupt here, Rito. I see Joachim comment that he may have to leave in next 4 or 5 minutes. I wonder if there is more to it. Like, do we think we can wrap it up in next 5 minutes or so?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. Yeah, no one wants me to rant about search. Everyone's seen search before. Okay, so convenient part about this is it's URL based. So you are able to share the link with other people. You are able to return to your search if you leave. So once you go to a particular page, you don't need to start search all over again because the search query is URL based. So you can go back and it will be saved. For 24 hours, it automatically saves it. So it sort of treats it similar to an app, except it's a static site. Okay. Last but not least, we get into the hard forks. Okay, so I made seen various, requests for a feature that, can actually track EIPs corresponding to hard forks and have this be in the entire site. So I made a network upgrade hard fork indexing feature. It starts with a small EIPW validation change that allows meta EIPs to declare network upgrade. Then the preprocessor uses those marked meta EIPs, parsed inclusion sections, and a historical backfill rules to generate the hard fork index, hard forks page data, and per EIP network metadata. The theme then renders that generated data while correctly handling weird edge cases like, Petersburg and DAO fork where they don't actually have anything to show EIP existing, but it still gets accounted for. So here we have the network upgrade showing up, that it's included, shows the exact status, and has that for all of it. And right now we have a transition period in this intended here for migration. Because we don't actually have everything with front matter yet, we have a hard-coded list that would probably remain permanent for historical ones that have an atypical parsing scheme, but for more modern ones, it would be relying on front matter for a migration. Okay, so that seems to cover all that I have to show for it. Still a lot to review, so thank you for your time and allowing me to share.
This is looking absolutely amazing. Thanks so much for your work.
Cool. Glad you think so. Thanks for taking the time to review it because I know this is a lot.
This is really cool. I love it. Also, like the hard forks is like a thing what has been asked a lot. So this is great. And also like semantic search. This is honestly the first time I even hear this word, but I love it already. So that's great. Yeah.
Sorry, that was like the last thing, and this is not a long discussion. So the build process also has a search corpus that you can use locally. Like you have to do it yourself. This is not part of the official. It's part of the official pipeline, but not for production. You can generate a search corpus used for debugging or for third-party consumers. You can take that search corpus and you can make it chunked. There's certain flags so that you can use it for semantic search. And I have a repo which you can see inside the issue for this this meeting as a demo that takes that generated search corpus and uses QDRANT to create a vector search MCP server, which I've tested out, which you can use with your AI agents if you want, or any other mechanism. So you should be able to take the EIP corpus and use it however you want to do research within reason for how we're able to build it. There's only so much flexibility we can have, but there's enough. And this one that I made here, this repo, is a little bit specialized. It's one way that people can test it out. So I recommend checking it out, and I'm excited for people to check it out and test it, and give some feedback if you can. Always good to have some feedback. Okay.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing this. If you find any further update, I'm happy to include it in the next agenda and give you more time, maybe in the beginning of the call. So anything that we miss out today could be covered in the next one.
Sounds good. I appreciate that.
Thank you for joining. And one last question before I let editors leave for the meeting today. We are approaching towards the 100th office hour. I believe I have also proposed this in the Discord channel. We would like to have maybe longer than our session if people are fine with that.
Works for me.
Joachim, would you be available? Like, we can do it for 2 to 3 hours depending upon your availability. I can obviously connect with you people async and try to get that. So if there are any suggestion. And the last thing is for the next EIP meeting, by default it falls on 17th, but if we can get it sooner, would 3rd or 10th work for editors?
Let's see, the 3rd of July or the 10th?
June.
10th. June,
3rd,
sorry, of course,
yeah.
sorry, June. Let's see, I think, yes, both work for me.
Both work for me. I think the 3rd is slightly better.
Okay, cool. Then we will keep it on 3rd of June. Thank you everyone for joining us here today and staying a little longer. See you around in Discord channel and in other meetings. Have a great one, rest of you.
All right, thanks everyone. Bye-bye.